Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 14th Career Day event. I am Jada Ferguson. I'm here as one of the persons in charge of the community. And so, first, I'm going to say what Career Day is all about. So, Career Day aims to bring awareness to different fields in tech and provide an informal guide for how students and professionals can chart their own course in these fields or roles. I just want you guys to know that Career Day is only one of several event series organized by the Jamaican community. So, the Jamaica Developers Community, is a community of creative thinkers, thought leaders, and innovators who love working together to solve common problems. We're transforming the Caribbean community from a consumer to a producer of technology. And I want to use this opportunity to shout out to our sponsors, Asub Limited, Vertis Technology Solutions Limited, and Particular Present Technologies Limited. Once again, guys, I am Jada Ferguson. I'm one of the people in charge of the community. I am also going to introduce one of our co founders who are with us today, O'Shane Bailey. And now I'm going to introduce our speaker, Mr. Michael Kerr. So, just to give you guys a little bit about Michael. So, in case you guys don't know, today's theme is IT support. And Michael Kerr is the Chief Technology Officer of one of our very special sponsors, Vertis Technology. He is a business leader with significant business transformation and technology enablement experience, driving growth and productivity improvement in both large and mid-sized enterprises. He has a strong record of success in creating robust IT and engineering organizations. So, without further ado, I'm going to give Mr. Kerr the opportunity to share his screen and present to us this evening on IT support. So you can take it away, Mr. Kerr.
Thank you, Jado. It's me on my presentation. All right, so do let me know when you can see my presentation. Jado, if you give me a thumbs up.
We're seeing it.
All right, super. All right, thanks for having me on your broadcast today. Careers Day, it's something that I always look forward to in school many years ago. And it's a pleasure to present, and share my experience, my knowledge on how to basically carve out a path in IT, with primary focus around IT infrastructure support and IT support in general as a career. Yeah. So a bit about myself. Who am I? I think Jada expounded on quite nicely. Michael Kerr is currently the CTO of Vertis Technology. I also operate several other businesses in different verticals. Been in the IT space for over 20 years, and this is on both local and international, working across all different verticals of IT. I've also moved up the ranks of being an end user support engineer, basically plugging in cables under the desk, unboxing machines, all the way up to being a solutions architect. So my last role in an IT organization, with the exception of being the CTO of Vertis, is as a solution architect, which is primarily my core discipline. But that is the path. It started from as an IT engineer, unboxing stuff, getting desktops working, and moving my way all the way up through the chains, learned a whole gamut of stuff, to a solutions architect, spanning across on-premise environments and multi-cloud domains. So currently my roles and responsibility across the IT space, and I'm speaking primarily within the scope of IT support, and the various areas which I've more or less been through, or I've delved into, or managed teams across these various areas. So across, you've got end user device support, server infrastructure support, network infrastructure support, cybersecurity support, or SecOps, and new thing on the block, or not so new these days, cloud infrastructure support. Each of these areas of IT support span even further. if we look at what end user device support is, we could look at a support role that does device rollout, which means that the engineer would plug the cables in, unboxing, get these devices set up. This could be laptops, desktops, handheld devices, or mobile phones, mobile devices. So any technology device that the end user or the within an organization or within the support paradigm has to interface with. This is what an end user support engineer will provide the relevant support for. This is normally the starting blocks. So this is the starting point of an IT support engineer's journey, normally providing, whether it be first line support to end users. It could be resetting passwords, first responders to incidents that may be raised as part of a support request. Then after we go through the various iterations of or various levels of being an IT support engineer, first line support, second line support, third line support, then there is server infrastructure support. All of these, however, all of these 5 areas, it depends on the size of the organization because they may get blurred. Within a large enterprise organization, these roles are separated. Within a small organization, you could realize that 1 or 2 people are doing all these, right? But we're speaking from a career standpoint and how you grow or you expand. So we're talking big, right? Enterprise, and how these roles break out. Server infrastructure support. So these really are the engineers that support the life cycle of the servers, the applications that resides in these servers. So as part of server support, we look at the server tin, and this is the physical server hardware in itself, where it is an on-premise data center that needs to be supported. If it's a virtual server, if it's a virtual server, then support is required. And this includes all the various types of server operating systems, your Windows, your Linuxes, your Unix operating system. And in the server infrastructure support world, we call it Wintel support. Yeah. And this again is providing your first line, your second line, and your third line support for server infrastructure. So we, at this level, the expectation is not that you would design a server infrastructure capability or do major implementations, but to basically keep the lights on, keep this infrastructure running, which is a big responsibility. Handling all the support calls that comes in for incidents relating to outages, issues relating to, it could be, as an example, a file server, users not able to access files on a mapped drive. It could be relating to creating new user accounts with an Active Directory. It could be setting up new mailboxes and an Exchange mail server. It could be supporting a deployment for a web application on IIS services, those sort of things, supporting DNS services. So that's where what infrastructure support is. And this is where IT support, it starts getting interesting, because you start getting exposed to some interesting stuff that requires a deeper knowledge of what an end user support engineer would normally have to deal with. Network infrastructure support, again, sometimes a server infrastructure support engineer and a network infrastructure engineer paths may cross at various times. But again, it depends on the organization. But if we look at an organization which has these roles segmented, most of the organizations I've worked in, these roles there are demarcation between these roles. A network engineer is a network engineer, which means that you handle either wide area network support, local area network support, which includes switching, routing, that sort of thing. Your job is basically to make sure that the network is running. Um, if there is an issue with a switch port that needs to be configured, and when we talk about switch ports, when we look at enterprise hardware and enterprise networking devices, this is where we start talking about the Cisco routers, the Cisco switches, the Juniper switches, the Meraki switches, the Arista switches, and these are the big boys in networking. So Nexus, not Nexus, sorry, Netgear, not really. In the enterprise world, the Cisco, the Junipers, the Arista, and this is where we require a level of certification to basically support and manage these switches. Again, the level of support is determined by the experience in years and the certification that is held. And we'll go through in other slides, the various certifications across these various areas of IT support or infrastructure support that's required. We've got cybersecurity support, InfoSecOps, it is termed, or SecOps. And this is where, if you're looking to break into the cybersecurity fields as an ethical hacker, pen tester, or some other assurance person that deals with cybersecurity, normally it's a good starting point is to understand from the ground up how these things operate. So basically sitting in a SOC, which is a security operations center, providing a level of support to firewalls, threat protection devices, antivirus capabilities, log management capabilities. And these solutions basically provide an insight as to what's happening inside an organization network from a threat level, and or a user-based activity level. So this is where you react to logs, you react to cybersecurity incidents, and there are certain certifications and training that are required to be a SecOps engineer. Cloud infrastructure, again, we look at the multi-cloud capability, AWS, Google Clouds, Microsoft Azure, and all these cloud environments, they differ in some sense, right? So whilst you can easily transition an on-premise support knowledge into the cloud, because some things remain the same, an IP address still remains an IP address, doesn't matter where you go. There are certain aspects of the various clouds that require their own specific support capability. And you've got engineers or careers that focuses purely on supporting cloud environments, whether it be providing DevOps support or support to application developers from an infrastructure standpoint, supporting cloud native applications that are deployed in microservices, not your typical virtual machines within a cloud estate, but on cloud services that are cloud native. This is where a cloud infrastructure support specialist comes in, or engineer. And again, you've got various levels. You got your first line, your second line, and you got your specialist. And that is determined by the level of experience, certification, and basically all boils down to skill set. So some of the certification and training that are required for all those areas of infrastructure and IT support that I touched on earlier. In IT, it is continuous training, right? Continuous training, continuous learning, it never stops. IT changes every 6 months. These days, every 3 months. And if you're playing in the Microsoft world, it changes every single day, right? If you're an engineer that supports a cloud-based solution such as Office 365 or Microsoft Azure, you'll notice that due to its evergreen nature, or AWS, you log in today, you log in tomorrow, you see something else. There are continuous releases, continuous enhancements to the platform, which means that you'll need to learn continuously to basically support these environments. So at the top there, we've got ITIL, ITIL v3, ITIL v4. And this certification focuses on IT service delivery, IT support, IT service management. Yeah. So whereby you're looking to carve a career in IT support or delve further into IT service delivery or service design, the ITIL certification is a key one, right? And with ITIL, it teaches you how to handle incidents, how to handle issues, how to work within a team, how the processes of incident management, change management is governed, which is key and primary when you move into an organization or a role that an enterprise role or supports an organized IT organization that support businesses that needs to adhere to certain principles or procedures. You know, I can't just go and make a change to a service that may impact the availability, you know, and ITIL certification basically walks you through all of that. And I'll give you a story. When maybe 15 years ago, when I got exposed to ITIL, I thought it was absolutely rubbish, right? Because I could fix a task, an incident will come in, the fix time is 5 minutes, but the paperwork is half a day. And I really couldn't justify it. But then when you peel it back and you realize the organization and the sphere that you're practicing in, you realize the benefit of these paperwork, you know. And as you move into your career of IT service, IT support, you'll understand, you know, and you'll see the benefit of being certified and understanding all the roles, the principles, the procedures of ITIL, change management, that sort of thing. Microsoft, most organizations run a Windows environment or a Windows Server environment. If it's not Windows Server, they run Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows 7 is being phased out. So Microsoft certifications are key. They're primary to support a Windows-based environment. You know, it is more than what you see. Okay, I do dabble a bit in Windows. I think I know. When you do the certifications, not only the certifications, but when you truly practice and learn the material, you realize that really, I only know about 20%. And the reason why I'm saying this is experience. I've seen guys, they come in, I know because I dabbled, you know, I can do X, Y, Z. But in an enterprise world, when we look at automating builds of Windows desktop devices, automating deployment of patches using systems like System Center Configuration Manager, Windows Update Services to deploy Windows updates, Chocolatey to automate application installation, sysprep to sysprep and image desktop devices, which you'll only possibly do when you're working in an organization of a certain size that can afford these capabilities, that governs these type of environments. VMware, when we talk about virtualization, virtual machine support, VMware is the top tier hypervisor. Hyper-V is there, but once you're Microsoft certified or a Microsoft server certification is held, an MCSA as an example, you'll have some experience of Hyper-V support. But VMware, if you looked into cut your teeth into infrastructure support at the enterprise level, you know, being VMware certified is ideal. Cisco certification, primarily for the networking side, well-respected certification. It means that if you pass a certification, you know, right? You just don't know what a switch looks like or a router looks like, but you can actually configure something because you have to practice to gain a Cisco CCNA. And then you've got the CompTIA certifications. I can tell you throughout my 20 years of IT experience, I can't remember seeing a CompTIA and a CV that basically say, yes, it's this guy. They are very general. They're a very good certification, and it gives you a very general knowledge across the entire stack. If you want to be specialist, then VMware, your Microsoft, your AWS, that sort of thing. CompTIA, very good certifications, but it provides general knowledge across the board, especially for A+ and Network+. There isn't a focus specifically on a particular technology. The CISA, CISM for SecOps certifications. And again, the learning continues. Learning never stops in IT. Salary ranges for an IT support role in Jamaica. So we're looking at a first line engineer with zero experience, fresh out of college or out of school, wherever they're coming from. 1.2 million plus. And the reason why there's a plus, and this is per annum, the reason why there's a plus, it is determined by the organization. If you move into, say, a large enterprise, you'll realize that that plus is maybe a multiplication of a plus. But how many roles are in those large organizations, So we have to be realistic. So we're looking at the average across the board, 1.2 million as a first line engineer with no experience at all, fresh out of college. That's what we expect. Average, and this is average across the board. Again, second line engineer with about 2 years experience. So 2.2 million plus per year. And again, this is based on the organization, and this is a general view across the board, and 3.5 million plus annually for a third line engineer, say 5 years experience, and again, determined by the organization. If you're working at a bank, if you're working at a telco, the expectation is that this may be higher. But when we look at the reality across the board of salary in Jamaica across IT, the average salary on a monthly basis is about 101,000, which means that 50% of people that are working in IT earns possibly less than 101K per month. And yeah, so salary comparison based on years of experience. As you gain more experience, the expectation is that you'll be better at what you do. And also you'd have picked up more certifications, and not only certifications, but you've got the experience to back those certifications. Yeah. And as you move, you see 2 years, there's a salary jump there of about 32%. So average, we're looking at, but as you move up, my years of 20%, you see, possibly I've got nowhere else to go. I've done my 9% already, and I'm possibly flatlined at the moment. But that is what it is at the moment, based on the comparison and how you look to start your career in IT support. As a pointer, though, what I must say, whilst certifications are good, the certification needs to be backed by skill set. And the only way that that skill set can be had is by practicing. Practicing. And whilst, salary looks good here, what I must say is that IT support, it can start very ugly based on where you are, which means that you're climbing on the desk, you're in server rooms with cables dangling, dust all over. You'll possibly have to work outside. In IT, it's not 9 to 5. It's 9 till whenever the problem is resolved. And if you're in a third line support role whereby you're overly responsible to resolving, because you're the last in the escalation chain of an incident, it means that you'll have to get this issue resolved. The business is not waiting on you. You'll have to get it done. And you can't say, I'm going to leave it at 4:30 or start backing up at 4:30, head home and come back at 9 and say, I'm going to start looking at it. 9 times out of 10, it is when the issue is resolved. Yeah. But again, the good side, it's IT, it's relaxed. I don't think as other roles, it's very stringent on you need to be this uptight person. It's normally a relaxed environment, and it can be fun because you learn new things, you explore new things, and you get fancy new technologies to work with most of the time, way more than a lot of other roles. And that's it. Any questions? That's me. That's my presentation. Thank you. Jada, back to you.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that presentation. Really appreciated it. Are there any questions? I saw that there was a question in the chat from Cassandra. However, I was unable to get it before I got kicked off. So, O'Shane, would you be able to read that question for me? And then, if there are any other questions, you all can use the raise hand feature. And then, once it's your turn, we'll be able to take that question.
Okay. So the question that Cassandra asks, what process do you go through to determine what vendors to use for hardware software to be used by many users of an organization?
Okay. Thanks, Shane. Thanks, Cassandra. Right. So it's the in an enterprise world or in an organization that you can't specifically call out a particular vendor, right? The solution has got to be vendor agnostic, which means that you'll have to start off with a set of requirements, yeah? And based on the technical requirements, that will eventually drive a vendor, you know? And if I just want to get this correct. When you say vendor, you mean, okay, I'm looking at servers at Dell, is it a HP or a Lenovo? So it's based on a series of functional, non-functional requirements, technical requirements, which may drive that decision. You know, it can't be a case whereby I like Dell or I like HP, so I'm going to buy HP, or my friend organization uses HP, so I'm going to buy HP. The justification to select a technology vendor has to be quantifiable, especially in the enterprise world, which means that it has to be driven by a set of requirements, you know, whether it's support proximity, a particular vendor can only meet a certain technical requirement that you've got. If we look at Jamaica, you'll see a significant amount of organizations deploy Dell hardware. And the reason for Dell hardware is because there is support locally. And based on the scoring criteria, it may be a fact that or requirement to say, if you've got local support for this capability, this hardware capability, then you may score 10 points. If you haven't got local support, then it's 5 points or 0. And this is where the selection comes in. It's based off of a set of functional and non-functional requirements with technical requirements, and then there is a scoring method. Small organizations may do it differently. You know, it may be based in price and that sort of thing. But yeah, hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you for that one. So it was answered greatly. Are there any other questions? Anyone that wants to ask a question? Now would be the time to use the. Okay, Ashin, you can go ahead.
Okay, so you can also unmute and ask a question. All right, Michael, in terms of IT support, all right, so someone had asked in one of the job chats about the level of knowledge when it comes on to programming and coding. What's your take on that? For me, I figure there's not much need for like knowing a lot of like principle about coding, but I mean, you've been working in the field. How do you like? What's the level of knowledge you think like entry level or even advanced individuals need to break into the field with IT support when it comes on to programming?
To programming, I didn't get the question fully, Ashane.
Okay, so the question was, do we need to know any bit of like programming language to break into the field? Like IT support versus knowing how to code. For me, there's no need to know how to code to do IT support. But for you're working in the field, what's your take on it? Is there a drastic need for it?
No, absolutely not. There isn't a need. Unless you're providing support for within a DevOps type support role, whereby you're supporting engineers or developers within an organization that is releasing to an infrastructure that is using DevOps basically to release code, and you need to make adjustments to I don't know, various configuration files, etc. But programming knowledge is not required for the majority of the roles. No.
Okay. In terms of like breaking into the IT support, what would you recommend like a novice to like start like tampering with, apart from, you know, learning, doing the training and getting certified, but is there like any like resource or approach you would tell like want someone to do?
Yeah, so there are several free labs available, especially from Microsoft Learn, right? And these labs provide hands-on practice, you know? So if you're not able to build a lab by yourself or within your environment, there are labs available online for free from Microsoft Learn that you can go and practice. I remember many years ago, I wanted to learn Citrix so much, and there was absolutely no way for me to get my hands on a Citrix installer ISO, like nothing, right? And Citrix was paying the business, right? But I just couldn't get my hand on it. Networking is you know, if you could form pairs and you learn in groups, you know, that's brilliant. But as a novice person, I'll say practice, you know, get onto some of these labs, keep yourself up to date on trends, technology trends, you know, because it changes so rapidly, so that you're in the know as to what is happening. And then you can go search for this. And Google is your best friend, to be honest, you know, everything is available on the internet. Go find some free labs on these various technology provider sites, which they do tend to have available, and practice if you can't get into an environment with real stuff to work on.
Okay, all right, great. I think that answered the question I just saw someone posted on YouTube, which was, how can we get IT support experience if we are just starting out? But let's shift the question towards work-wise.
I think, Shane, if I answer that, right? If you're just starting out, right? There are internships. You know, it's a brilliant way. You know, honestly, I know internships tend to come from, okay, you attending a college or something, but walk into an organization and ask for it. The worst case is you're going to hear no. Can't get any worse than that. But not everyone that attends a college and applies for internship here's a yes. Yeah, so it can't be any worse than to go into technology company and ask if there are internships available. You know, and I'm sure, because in IT, what we realize is the people that love this thing that excel, you know, and IT execs can see that you've got a fire burning, you love this thing, and you don't know, you'll get a chance.
Noted with thanks, and I definitely agree with you. Funny, that's actually how I started out in software development. I actually worked in a company and then asked if there's anything, you know, available for internship and so forth. So sometimes, as you said, it's just to ask and then you find opportunities out there. Another question someone asked was geared towards Linux infrastructure. If Linux is a good place to start when come on to server configuration and software. And for me, definitely yes, but what's your take on that?
So Linux has got its place. But the usage is limited, right? So it's free. It's not really free, because when you start talking about enterprise environments, then we're talking about supportable licensed operating system like Red Hat, et cetera, right? So Linux is a good place to start if you're looking to go into DevOps. Yeah. In Jamaica, there isn't a lot of environments that are running full Linux platforms, right? There are 1 and 2 Linux boxes here and there, but not a full environment that is 100% Linux. You've got the Linux skills, and then you can't use it because there isn't enough place to practice. Yeah, but it is a good skill to have because it is a niche in a sense. You know, if it's an organization, maybe a dev house that does software development, then the platform of choice for dev houses are Linux. But how many dev houses do you really have? You know, so a balance needs to be had. You know, I would say 95% of the organizations in Jamaica are running Wintel systems and not Linux.
Okay. The funnily, the follow-up question to what you just said, how much do you think is actually still running Windows XP?
Hopefully none. Hopefully none, but I am sure you'll find an organization that either you've got some owners of businesses or IT managers says, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? And because it's working, I mean, they don't fix it, or they say it's working, so I don't have to spend. Or it could be a case whereby there's this old legacy piece of application that is running that just cannot be migrated, or is too expensive to migrate, and they're still running XP. But hopefully, I'm sure there are organizations still running XP, but it could be that they're well gardened and basically siloed off from everywhere else. But there's always a reason as to why these environments are still in place.
Okay. Which goes to another question. When it comes on to maintaining and supporting these legacy systems, what's your general approach for maintaining it? Because for me, I tend to just containerize or put the system in like a virtual box if it's from the operating system side. But what do you tend to do to maintain legacy systems?
So there are two paradigms to this, right? So
yeah,
whereby it's a large government organization or a large organizations with money, right? So the server operating system may reach its end of life date, but organizations tends to purchase support, extended support from Microsoft. Yeah, so for the general public, it's end of life, but for these organizations running critical business systems, they're still able to get support based on the agreements. But how we normally manage this is to isolate the environments with least privileged access, right? So they're sat within a walled garden environment, and patches are frozen, and access is limited to these. Also, the integration with other systems are also restricted or maintained as is, right? So what we do is to build a perimeter fence around them and basically secure them from the outside to the hilt.
okay,
right? Until a transformation or transition can be had.
I see. So so when come on to these type of maintenance, and well, I guess it depends on the project and the issue at hand. But like what do you find most difficult when you like maintain and upgrading a system?
That's so the difficulty is based on the organization, the size of the organization, and how much they have followed a release strategy.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a case where an organization has got multiple environments, say a dev, a test, a sit, or say a non-prod and a prod environment, then the upgrades, you can follow the path through the various environments and release the upgrade and test per the environment, whereby the organization does not have in place a test dev or SID or non-functional environment, and you have to do your upgrades on live. Where the issue comes in is when is your change management, is there proper change management in place? Has everyone signed into this? Has everyone accepted the risk to say there is a possibility if we upgrade, there may be an extended outage? Yeah. And when we're in a situation whereby it is a single component or a single server type environment, and we need to upgrade, we need to make sure that we've got the relevant backup in place. We've got some sort of rollback plan in place, and we've got some sort of change management in place. And not just having a backup in place, have we tested the backup? Can we actually recover from this backup in the event that we were to upgrade and it failed?
Right. Yeah, that's actually very interesting. And how much do you, when it comes to following these rules, principles, and procedures, do you think Jamaica, like IT industry, most of them follows the core principles, or you feel like most actually don't?
So it's a mixed bag in the sense that sometimes there's a knowledge gap into understanding what needs to be done. Sometimes the limitation is by experience, this is what I know, so this is what I do. And sometimes it's down to money. I just don't have the IT budget to enable these capabilities within the IT operations.
All right. Noted. All right. Before I continue with any other question, anyone has any question in the chat, or you want to unmute and ask, Michael? All right. So 3 questions from me, and I think we can wrap after. So based on your experience, what are your major takeaways, like what you love about IT support and what you find what dislike or find difficult based on your years of experience?
So that's a good question, right? Because realistically, having done 20 years, I've gone through all the various eras, the one of the primary challenges is the change. The change is so rapid, sometimes it's difficult to keep up. Yeah. What I like about it is that if you're able to get into the right organization that has got very little barriers as to how far you can spread your wings, how much knowledge you can gain, that is awesome. Because you can start as an IT support engineer and you can branch into all different sort of things. I've seen support engineers branch off into IT project managers, into business analysts, branch off into infosec, various different areas, move from support into infrastructure. And this is infrastructure engineering, move into architecture. So it's a good starting point. It's a very good starting point in my view. What I dislike, I don't know, sometimes you like to get your hands on stuff on the the budget is not there to get it, I reckon. Now, and this is the truth, I don't think there is enough people wanting to become IT infrastructure, get involved into IT infrastructure support. Everyone is now going for the buzzwords, being a DevOps engineer, an InfoSec guy or girl, whether it be in cybersecurity or DevOps or cloud, and missing out on the foundation stuff. And there's a huge gap in infrastructure and IT support, because there's a use of everything. The platform that you're going to provide support for as an InfoSec runs an infrastructure. It needs end user computing. It needs networking, all these different things. And there's currently this huge gap. And I'm not sure. I guess everyone is following trend in a sense, but and this gap is there to be exploited. I see it as a huge opportunity to be exploited.
Okay, noted. Finally, your last comment goes into one of the questions that I was going to ask. But let me shift it towards which field would you recommend individuals, like IT support is pretty huge. There's networking and a lot of different subfields that someone could work in. Which one would you recommend like individuals to tap into? It's like a good way to start. Which subfield would you recommend?
So I don't think it's based on a recommendation, because each area of IT support aligns with an engineer's personality.
Nothing.
Yeah. What I can tell you, if you go into infrastructure support, 5 o'clock is not taking you home. Yeah. Because there's always something to do. If you're more on the, it aligns with personality. Yeah. Networking, if you're interested in routers, switches, plugging in cables, love lots of cables and stuff. I remember going into a large scale server room for the first time, and I just stood there amazed. Right, we're talking about thousands and thousands of cable. I'm like, what the hell? It looks like a bowl of soup, like with noodles. And I was like, I ain't touching this. But that intrigue. I was like, I'm not touching it, but I really wanted to know what was happening, But so it's based on personality, and the personality will drive an engineer down a certain path.
Okay.
But as it stands at the moment, network support, infrastructure support, huge demand.
Noted. In terms of in terms of resources, do you have like any resources that could provide someone with like a career roadmap? Because we tend to create like provide links or resources where they can see, okay, if you're like this level, that level, these are the things that you should know. Do you have any resources that could provide a career roadmap for novice and even senior IT support personnel?
Not at hand now, but it's something I could arrange and get over to you.
Okay, that would be great. Don't have any more questions I could generate. If there's no other questions from anyone, I think we can call it a wrap. All right, Jada, you can take over. Oh, Stephen has a quick question. You can unmute Stephen and ask. Let me see. Oh, Stephen, if you're talking, we're not hearing you. I noticed that you unmuted. Um, if anything, type your question in the chat. Okay, I guess he's typing. Well, we did a okay. So Stephen' question is geared towards data science. We did a career day on data science with certificates. I'll find the video and send it in the chat. But uh, uh, the certificates that Micah had mentioned are geared towards IT support, but I'm not sure if Micah wants to also give any highlight if you know any additional certificates for data science.
There are data science certificates, certifications available. It's not my area of skill set, to be honest. I haven't paid much attention to it. That's because data doesn't stop, right? And I like to go in, do what I'm doing, know that I've got immediate like results, and move on to something else. But I think there's a question. Is there a question on YouTube about how can I break in without? Let me see. Breaking
yes.
into the IT industry without a degree, right?
Yes.
I must say, IT is a skill, right? It's a hard skill. Just like your mechanic guy that knows how to fix an engine. That's IT. You'll do the degree 4 years. Honestly, by the time you finish that degree, the technology has moved on. Yeah. So those technical certifications and continuous practice, and this is the reality of it, right? Upon employing somebody, I don't look, okay, I've got a master's. Do you know? Are you willing to learn? Have you got the right personality? That's it. You know, not about I attend the best university there is. And the reason why I say this, Shane, I've worked across the world in various organizations, right? And with people that attend various different institutions and a number of degrees. It makes absolutely no difference to for the results. And IT support and fixing problems is about providing results. Yeah, there is a possibility the guy with the degree gets to the answer quicker because he's better at researching, you know, but at the same time, we still end up with the same answer. Yeah. But not having a degree is not a barrier at all.
Noted with thanks. All right.
Okay, testing.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Oh, you're hearing me now. All right, great. I was wondering if I could just put in another question, a quick question.
Oh,
Um,
go ahead.
Mostly concerning about like beginners certifications. Um, I've seen on some forums that some folks are a bit against certain certifications like the Cisco certifications as beginner friendly certification. I was wondering what you think of that.
So there are entry level. Well, if you're brave enough to do a Cisco certification, honestly, you know, you're the guy. So
Yeah.
I just wouldn't allow that forum to turn me off. But if you're brave enough to face a Cisco exam, right, and put in the work and the practice, then you're the guy. To be honest. But if you want to break into core network infrastructure support, at an enterprise level, a CCNA is required.
Hmm. Yeah, because that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
With the CCNA being touted as such a valuable certification, it seems as if it's almost like a shortcut in your IT career to like just matriculate directly to the CCNA.
No,
Because
it is not a shortcut because that is the entry level.
yeah, yeah,
That is
but
the
I
entry
was
level
thinking of
certificate.
it more
Yeah.
along the lines of like the normal pathway towards the Cisco certifications would have been through like your CompTIA um, certifications.
No,
So,
because Cisco
so
prepares you for that. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Cisco prepares you for that. So, because if you learn CompTIA, right, and you've got the CompTIA cert, and I give you a catalyst switch, you'll know absolutely nothing what to do with it. Yeah. You'll be
yeah,
staring at it for days. Um, right? If I give you a Netgear, yes, you'll plug some cables in and it works.
hmm,
But that's it. But when you're provided enterprise hardware or in an enterprise network whereby you see switches as big as yourself, and you're like, what the hell do I do here?
yeah.
Um,
But I guess at least it provides the general foundations for venturing into certain vendors. You know.
yeah, yeah. I said the CompTIA exams are more on a generalist basis.
Mm-hmm.
They're not tailored to particular technology. Um, whereby when you certify against the technology, it means that you got the level of competence to work on this equipment. You know.
Okay, got it. All right, thanks again. I'll get out of your here now.
Okay, just ask.
Noted. Noted with thanks. Jada, you can go ahead and wrap up now.
Okay, thank you everyone for all your questions. Thank you again, Michael, for that presentation. Just for everyone to know, we are still looking for volunteers for all the various aspects of the community, which are graphic design, events and marketing. We also do have research and content creation and video production. So, if it is that you are interested in becoming a volunteer, don't forget to email us at community@caribbean.dev or message us on social media. All of that is in the chat. Also, if you would like to be a part of a career day or even a demo day, which is to be coming up sometime this month or next month, be sure to email us at community@caribbean.dev or message us on all our social medias. Thank you again, everyone, for attending. And remember that we have other events coming up, such as Demo Day and Career Days, which are held mostly on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And if we will let you know when it is. They are on Meetup and they are also sent in the community Telegram group, the community WhatsApp chat, as well as it is posted on our social media. One more shout out to our sponsors again, which are Asub Limited, Vertis Technology Solutions Limited, and Particular Presence Technologies Limited. And once again, I hope you guys all have a great evening. And that's about it. Thank you.